the people.
There's them.
All right.
200 to 300 to several thousand to 24 million people are going to see this.
All right.
Probably not that
Depending
many.
on something happening in the background that could...
If a boat explodes, everyone in the world is going to see this video.
All right. It's all about timing in life.
So Mike Reuter?
Yes.
Reuter. All right. Current mayor of Kalama.
Right.
Running for county commissioner, District 1.
Exactly.
Probably my commissioner.
Yep.
Welcome to I Guess I Interview People, a show where I pick a different name every time.
Right.
Okay, so let's start right there. Currently mayor.
Right.
What's the plan to run for commissioner? Why are we making that jump in office?
I really thought about it about 4 years ago, running for county commissioner. I was in office for 4 years. I'd seen some concerns that I really wanted to address. That as mayor, you get to see how things, especially when it comes to relationships and governance, to make the county better. And I wanted to bring what I'd learned in Kalama to the county 4 years ago when Mr. Mortensen's first term ended, or actually before he ran again. I really thought about it. I vetted it, talked to a couple of friends and colleagues. And a friend in particular said that she said that you weren't ready. I wasn't ready. She said to me, I wasn't ready at that time.
Yeah.
I was only mayor for 4 years. She said, most of the county commissioners are at city council for maybe a decade, a mayor for a couple terms, or that some kind of governance like their municipality leadership. And she said, just wait for one more term. So after, a lot of thought and just thinking about everything, she was right. I really took it in consideration, and I waited for 4 more years.
Okay.
And I'm glad I did. Just to let you know, because I always tell people when you're about to go out in the real world and you're young, you think that you could handle the real world.
Right.
And then you get out there like, whoa, I didn't know it was going to be like this. And unfortunately, Tim, that's too late. And the same thing with the last 4 years. I have learned, and now I'm in a situation where wow, I have learned a lot in the last 4 years. I went through COVID. I went through the George Floyd. I went through city council problems. I went through, there's been a lot of situation with the city and the county and the state that really has tested me. I've been through a lot, and I see what's going on with other leadership, especially with mayors and city councilors, that I have come full circle. That now I have a good overview of really how governance works, and you really need that in order to become a county commissioner, because the county commissioner is your CEO, policymaker, your legislator. You got a lot of different jobs, and you can't just come in here and wing it, because unfortunately there's nowhere to instruct. There's nowhere this is not an on-the-job training program.
Right.
It's $110,000 a year job. And can you think of another job that you go in to good experience on the job and get paid $110,000 to do?
Probably something in finance. A lot of bankers and Wall Street guys can come out.
All right.
If you're good at math, you can walk straight into a quant position.
But the thing is, you won't get your county in a lot of trouble if you make a bad decision. You might get your customers in a bad spot, but you are actually one lawsuit, one policy that's illegal, and you could put your county in jeopardy.
So let's start with something pretty interesting here. We're saying county commissioner, $110,000 a year. It's
plus benefits.
Plus benefits. It's one of these big wig, fat cat, wasteful government spending positions.
Right. And I totally agree with that. Just let you know.
But mayor on the other side, we were talking a little bit about this, a little bit in Woodland. It's a position that doesn't really pay. So at least in Woodland's case, our mayor has a full-time job that's not being mayor, right?
He's got it. Yep.
Right. So is moving to county commissioner, are you leaving not just the city, maybe without a mayor, but also your position to take all that on?
Right, I have to.
Right.
As mayor, I can't do both jobs at the same time. You can't be mayor and county commissioner. So you have to resign, you have to leave that post and, go on to the county, which is difficult because I love being mayor. It's a great, great job to have. And I love my city a lot. But there's a lot of concerns with the county, especially with the possibility of having 3 new commissioners. One's bad. Just like, one's bad.
Needing one is bad, or one of the commissioners is bad?
One commissioner inexperienced is bad.
Okay.
2 is really concerning because now you have a quorum. You have a majority, which you learn in government that a majority of unknowns can make a big, in the city council, you get 3 out of 5 city councilors or 5 out of 7 or whatever it is that are new. You don't know what you're going to get until they get in there. And all of a sudden, I did not know they were going to do this. And they start breaking things down and people start leaving. And then all of a sudden the city or the county starts imploding on itself.
So the upside of that conversation is, okay, if we switch everybody out, we're definitely going to get change, which can be good if we're not happy, but it can be terrible if we kind of like things the way they're going. So let's start with I think probably the first talking point is your view as looking into the commissioner status. Do you see it currently the county commissioners moving in a direction you're happy with? Do you have is there an issue there you want to try tackling or maybe bringing change to it in some capacity?
Well, the first thing that the county's really having a hard time with is staffing. They've had a humongous turnover of employees there. And one of the things you really realize when you're, especially as a mayor, is how important having a good staff is. Having a very cohesive, collaborative team of leadership that really has the right vision for the city or the county. And so you start with that. You have to have the right people. And then you build on that because they bring in good people, and it's a cascading thing where you just, great people bring great people, and all the way down to where it's ground level.
Right.
And you have to start with that. So that was a big one. The budget, the county's really struggling in terms of fiscal. They have a lot of fiscal
probably because
problems.
we're paying our commissioners so dang much.
Yes, and we'll talk about that in a minute here.
All right, okay.
I know the pay. I really have a problem. Like I said, paying people to learn on the job.
Right.
Shouldn't be this kind of thing. And one of the things I really think of, if you don't have some kind of either education, some major background in terms of education or experience as a city councilor, mayor, you shouldn't even start at 80,000. I'm serious. This is not like I said, this is not on the job training. This shouldn't be paid this much. It's crazy. And like I said, you don't have any bosses. This is what I don't think people realize. If people realize that this kind of job, I'm worried that there's going to be like 10,000 people running the next term because you do not have bosses.
Yeah.
You do have the the electorate, you have the public,
right.
But day to day, you walk in when you want. Walk out when you want. There's no one there to tell you to be, you have to be here.
As someone wearing this,
right.
Admittedly, and as a Jeffersonian, I read the guy's articles. I understand that in theory, as an elected official, you're beholden to the people. So if you're clocking out at 11:45 in the morning and clocking in at 10:15 in the morning, and they're not rah-rahing or calling for change, that's kind of on them. That's a them problem. Right.
But it is,
or on us almost in a way, yeah.
Exactly. And so, that's concerning when you don't have, like, let's say a background of management or any kind of thing where you could actually see these people work.
Right.
Because you don't know who you're getting in there. And you're absolutely right. Change is good. But if you don't even know.
Change can be good.
But who's to say that person was the kind of change that they, have you ever seen them do something that changes something to the positive? Have you ever seen, let's say if they're a business owner, have you seen they started at this, let's just say, widget company.
Yeah.
And they built, now we have 5 widget companies. And by the way, all the employees are happy. They're growing and they're blah, blah, blah. And they're a great manager. And you start seeing them do all kinds of, volunteer stuff. You see, and because there is companies out there that do have a good reputation.
Right.
You know what I mean? They like, you know, when I think of the Red Leaf and all those kind of things, they have a good background of being community. Right.
So there was a train.
Yep.
That's over now. Budgetary issues for the county. Let's get into that. What you said there were some budgetary concerns.
Very much
not
so.
doing great.
Right.
What do we know? What can we learn about this situation?
Okay. The revenues are $74 million.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'm sorry. The expenditures are $74 million.
Yeah.
The revenues are I think it was $53 million.
That's less.
A lot less.
Well, that's bad.
Real bad.
So how are they making up the difference?
They have made it up through, because of staffing, they budget for 100% staffing.
Mm-hmm.
They filled it with ARPA funds. They were able to use some funding mechanisms to fill that gap. And so they did balance the budget, but they had to do a lot of finagling to make that happen. So it is and just to let you know, a lot of the gap of funding has been filled by the landfill to the tune of $7 million. So the landfill is not supposed to be used as a general fund revenue source. Just to let you know. That's not supposed to happen. You're supposed to, it's an enterprise fund.
We're paying more to use the landfill so that we can offset the county budget effectively.
Well, what they're doing is they're bringing garbage in from other cities and other municipalities to fix the budget.
Oh.
So, and some people think it's a good idea. I don't think it's a good idea because it is a finite facility.
A landfill can only hold so much.
Yes.
All right.
It was meant for 100 years based
Gotcha.
on 350,000 tons a year, blah, blah, blah. They're almost at 700 right now.
So if at this current rate, we're effectively cutting our landfill lifetime in half.
And almost half.
That's not good.
No. And they want to increase it more.
Okay.
So the problem is if this gets filled, we have to take our garbage all the way to the Dalles, pretty much, or eastern, actually it's Washington. So they have to barge it all our trash, including our industry, up the Columbia River.
So the real pill in this conversation is the fact that unless we get our budget right, we're facing a big trash problem in our observable lifetime.
Possible. At least mine, maybe not mine.
Definitely mine. But I'll be here for this.
Yes, you will be here
I mean, look at me. I'm all black-haired. I'll be around forever.
So it's a concern that we have to use this very wisely.
Right.
Because this could really detriment our future in terms of industry and also businesses. I mean, it doesn't sound like a big deal, but it is a big deal because when it comes to business, every dollar means a lot. I mean, it's for us to, like I said, budget or us to barge this is going to be exponentially higher.
It'll add up over time.
Very quickly.
So, okay, we're offsetting the budget. Well, we're balancing the budget by using up a finite resource in our landfill. The first one.
Exactly.
The reason we're doing that is because the county is overspending as a whole.
They're hurting right now.
Right.
Their revenues are less than their expenditures, and they're not even talking about the future. We're talking about this is a possible. So they have COLA raises coming up, healthcare costs increasing. They have infrastructure needs, and so this is only going to
get worse if we don't find a way to get under control.
Yes.
So let's start with this. Where is that money going to? Is it just to the people that work for the county? Is there projects or boondoggles or some kind of ice rink or boat ramp that shouldn't be there that we're paying for?
No, the county is, I can't say that they're very well, they're actually understaffed.
Right.
Just to let you know. So they're not, and then in terms of, so that the management aspect, I don't picture that being one of the concerns.
Okay.
And also the infrastructure, they have to have these projects done.
Right.
It's kind of like a city. You have a city, you have your stormwater, your stormwater, your streets and staff and services. So you have to, usually your staff and Kathy Baxter is the finance director for the Cowlitz County.
Okay.
Funbaster is her name, and she's done a great job. And she tells the commissioners what they have to do to get to where they need to be.
Right.
Whether it's cutting this, adding this. And so she says, hey, this is what we have to do to get to where we're going to balance the budget.
So Kathy's in charge of the committee.
Kathy is the captain of the finance. She's the one that kind of says the stuff that has to be heard to the county.
So it's not necessarily an issue of, say, overspending, where it might be an issue of underfunding. So where would we, if we, outside of, let's say, using that landfill, if that's an issue, where do you look to make up some of those revenue differences?
Well, that's where your businesses come in effect. In terms of you work with the ports, the cities, it's a collaborative effort to what you want to put into your county. Gotcha. And you can't be the problem is we try to put things that are in the county that don't sit well with the state. And as much as we want to go anti-regulatory, anti-rules, and we want to do our own thing, but unfortunately we're in a state that we have to work with what we have.
Right.
We can't, we have these ideas of certain types of industries, especially, just certain ones that don't, like I said, it fits in Cowlitz County, but we're not the end game here. The state is the one that has the oversight and regulatory thing where you can't fight them. There's some people like, well, I'm going to get rid of the rules and regulatory thing. They don't have that kind of authority.
So let's boil this down into here. I asked somebody, I was going to interview someone about county commissioner, Mayor of Kalama, and what should I talk about? And they're like, I didn't even know that guy existed until you started talking to me. So it shows that, maybe the average person's not as well educated as we like to be on how our government works.
Right.
How does the county raise money? Let's start with just that point. Where's the money coming from?
Taxes are a big, sales tax, a property tax, businesses licensing, in terms of licensing. So there's a lot of different revenues that help. It's like a city. Cities get a lot of their finances from the people, I hate to say, or businesses.
Well, sales tax and property taxes are the big ones.
Yeah.
So does a portion of that money go towards the county? Or if I'm a business, for example, and I want to work at the port, do I pay a separate tax to the county on top of the city tax? Am I paying a city tax and a county tax? Or am I paying a property tax, and then that property tax goes somewhere and then gets apportioned out by somebody?
So the port pays leasehold tax.
Okay.
They pay leasehold, so it's not quote unquote a property tax.
Sure.
Leasehold tax is a whole different thing that you pay portions on your. I'm trying to think of how do you put improvements.
Right.
Improvements from a bare piece of land where you hardly pay any property tax or leasehold tax to a facility like this where you pay the improvement. A tax on the improvements that you've done in the property.
Right. So, well, let's use the timber market as a pretty good example of sort of this kind of conversation, right? Timber market had a lot of improvements.
Right.
Who or whatever organization, which I'm not necessarily getting into, who did those improvements is now paying a tax to the county on the improvements that were done, i.e. the structure as it sits.
Right.
And then that gets worked down to the businesses that want to be here in form of like the lease and use fees because they got to pay the taxes. So the businesses are paying it not directly, but in abstract. Am I missing?
Right.
Picking it up?
Yes.
Cool. So I'm on the same page. All right. So effectively, in order to bring the budget current without offsetting with the, let's say, land, the landfill usage, you'd need to raise the improvements revenue
as one,
and
one
also
example. Housing brings more people in terms of property taxes, brings more revenue on other ways, sales tax.
Right.
So housing developments, and then also the permitting process. It's a revenue thing too in terms of the money to go to permitting.
So either that's going to have to go up, or cuts are going to have to be made to balance out the difference.
Right.
So that, I mean, it's a tricky spot for anyone running for commissioner.
It is.
I know you're not in there. And the first thing I want to say is, especially as a mayor and as someone who's run to be mayor more than once, it seems, there's a big difference between doing the job and saying what you'll do when you do the job.
Exactly.
If you're not in office yet, you can always go, I'll put soda in the drinking fountains.
Yes.
We'll have pizza for lunch every day, and I'm going to get rid of homework. You know, we've all been in that school president situation. But once you're in office, you're like, wait, I just go to a meeting with the principal twice a week?
Right.
I don't have any power to do, you know? So I know we need to balance that. Is there an approach looking outside from your perspective that might be a good fit? Or are we obfuscated from what's really there so you can't say too much because you're not in the job to know yet?
Well, let's start off with, and ironically, that was going to be how I started every, when it comes to candidate forums and debates, is just let you know, if I get in office, I'm going to reduce everyone's taxes by 50%.
Right.
I'm going to give everyone a $1,000 rebate.
Obviously.
I'm going to bring down the water bills. I'm going to bring the sewer bills down. I'm going to make everyone's life just perfect. Only kidding, of course, because I can't do all of that. But you could say, people could say a lot of stuff.
You can say anything if you're not in.
And it's like, okay, what have you proven that you could ever do any of those things and a scale, and any kind of scale?
Right.
Because you're just saying a lot of things for the people that want to hear it. And that's what people are like, yes, way to go. No taxes, better streets, more safety. What's wrong with that?
Why can't we just have it now?
And then you get in there and like, oh, I didn't know that this thing's come at a cost.
Or somebody 40 years ago wrote this contract that's good for 90 years.
Right.
Who's agreeing to this? And then someone offers you a 90-year contract. Well, that seems like a good deal.
And can you get it done? Like,
Yeah.
for instance, you may have, just let you know, there is people that have the best ideas.
Yeah.
That going to kind of reduce taxes. That's going to improve the streets and infrastructure. But can they get it past the people? Can they get it past the city council? Is the city council going to agree with you? So unless they see all of these things in action,
Right.
they're just words.
Well, so then let's try to codify this into a little bit more, of a structure. You've been bringing up, it's good to have managerial experience. You had to have the terms in mayor. You got to have the civic experience
Yes.
to really understand the position. So you're looking at it now. You got your eye on the office. Let's say you get in, right? Do you have a notion on how you're going to start addressing this budget difference from the experience that you've got so far, other than just being like, we need to do something? You know, is there an approach to doing something from where you're at so far?
Well, start with the people that you have,
Right.
like the team. You want to have a cabinet of good people, because unfortunately, most people don't realize that you can't do it by yourself.
Right.
There's almost 600 employees.
Yeah.
You know, a multi-million-dollar budget for you to think that you're going to go in there. And by the way, you also have to work with the other county commissioners too.
Yes,
so you have to show that you could work with other people. And if a person comes in there and says, well, I have all this business experience and I've done this and this, like, I've never seen you work with someone. I've never seen that you could actually get stuff done. You have good ideas and you're a kind of a fun guy, but sorry, have you ever been to a city council meeting and have a disagreement with the mayor? Have you ever had a disagreement with other city council or the port? So unless you see all this play out, you're on an unknown, which is a dangerous thing to be in that position. And you can't kick them out. Just let you know that you're stuck with them for 4 years. So this person, unless they've done a felony, even then it's difficult to remove them, just let you know. So you're going to be stuck with someone there that could break down the system for 4 years.
Well, and you also want to, like you said, you want to make sure the team of people that are there is currently good and experienced, that kind of know what they're going on. So you can make sure that the system that works keeps working right, so that we won't do something radical and break it into 1,000 pieces.
Right.
Okay.
You've seen it. You've seen other cities. You've seen it. I'm not going to mention any cities, but you've seen what happens when people don't work together.
I'll say this in someone who's trying to avoid like having a bigger national conversation. I think a lot of times, if you're diligent as a voter, we have a lot of diligent voters, you get the city council and the mayor that you're voting for. And then you end up with the governance that you keep electing in, right? Oh, look, Amtrak.
That was quicker.
Yeah, for example, you've been mayor how many terms?
This is my 7th year.
Seventh year as mayor.
Yes, yep.
Is it 2 terms? Because there are 4-year terms in Woodland.
4 years terms here. This is my 7th year. Next year will be my last final year anyway as mayor.
All right, so you'll step down early and give a mayor pro term and
pro tem. Yep.
Perfect. But like, people are voting for you because they like you. At the very least, they like the way Kalama's working and think, this guy's doing fine. His name's on the ballot. It says incumbent. I'm not that mad, you know?
Right.
So I do think that level of agreement is necessary. One of the things that Steve brought up, hold on, I'm getting it. Yeah, okay, good. One of the things that Steve brought up that I thought was interesting, and then I've heard it outside of the conversation with him as well, is there's a discussion about the county taking on Hope Village. I don't know how big of an expense or how real of a conversation that is. Have you heard anything? Is that mostly conjecture? Is there a very solid discussion to be had around Hope Village?
Hope Village, I've toured it.
Yeah.
It's an amazing place. Just to let you know that there's nothing perfect in the world, I would love to say, but you need, I think of the homeless or the people that have that not everyone is got a great family. Not everyone has been, we're all not in the same.
Let's put this in perspective, because I'll just be honest with you, because I understand, I can feel the discomfort. I feel it, right? You're not there, you don't know these people, but you're trying to have a good heart. My mom was homeless multiple times in her life, died drunk in a ditch. I don't think she ever lived a life she regretted, because I talked to her a lot about it when she was like sober and working, and her response was, this is way worse. Being homeless is cool. So I'm not here to say you should be heartless. I understand that there are people going through tribulation, but I also don't view it as like a bad idea to have a way to help people get back on their feet. So that's the first things first. My question is more on the dollars and cents of the issue. Is it something that, as a county commissioner, you're interested in taking on as an expense, given that we're already over budgeted? Or is it more of a situation where the city, I think Longview set it up, and that's their project and they can have it, as an example? Whether or not it's a success, whether or not those people need help, I'm more interested in the jurisdiction of the idea, and your take on that. So what do you think?
Okay.
And go nuts. Again, my mom died in a ditch. I don't really care.
And just to let you know, this is not enabling.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. This is a step up, not a handout type
100%.
of thing. And if you could see the rules of this Hope Village, you'd be like, this is not where I want to live. Because I have to be in by 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
I have to be frisked going in.
Yeah.
The gate has to be unlocked to let me out and in.
So
it's not like you could just kind of it's not.
That's good.
And you can't have friends.
Right.
You can't have friends come in. You can't, if you go to another person's shed, or the pallet home.
Yeah.
You can't have the door closed. You actually have to leave. If you're one person going to another person's thing, you have to leave the door open. So it's not like it's a lot of oversight. You have to go through programs. You have to go through counseling. This is a center, by the way, I think it's, don't quote me on that. I think there's 30 different agencies that work out of Hope Village.
Okay.
To help them either get mental health counseling, to help them get food assistance, to help. So it's a center point to help, a lot of people at one place.
So is there, and not say it's good or bad, as commissioner, if it's brought to your desk, hey, Kelso wants the county to take this on, is that an expense you're willing to shoulder? Or is it you guys did this and we think it's great that you did it, you should keep doing it? Because in Woodland, to make a weird analogy, we had this like pool committee that for years was trying to build this pool. And they kept coming to city every few years. And they're like, hey, we sure would like you to take the pool on once we build it. And the city was like, no, because owning a pool is very expensive and we already have a lake and you build all the pools you want. Go nuts.
Yeah.
Not on us.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm trying to get. If it's brought to you, good or bad, is it something you think the county should be shouldering?
Yes.
Okay.
And the reason why is the county is not paying for the entire thing. They get a lot of assistance statewide and federally to pay for this program. They actually get, just to let you know, a doc recording fee goes to pay for it.
Okay.
They don't even really have to shoulder. I don't know if it's, I don't want to say zero, but it's a very low cost thing. And even if they don't, we need to have something, because it's not what's best for each person. As you know, what's really interesting is when Hope Village, they were having a lot of discussions about Hope Village, a year or two ago with Longview. And I wanted to go speak there because I really, I have a lot of inside information about this facility and the people behind it. And I said, no, it's not in Kalama. So I don't I shouldn't get involved myself with other people's business. And I thought of that. Seriously. I said,
Right,
well, it's not.
And that is fair, yeah.
I don't want people coming into my, elected officials from other cities and saying, you need to get that dang railroad
Take down your
track.
statue. I don't like it. It's not a bear.
So it's professionalism of trying to do the right thing and try to, pick those swords to fall on.
Right.
And so, I wish I would have thought about this earlier, and I talked to my wife about this, and she goes, it's not a Kalama issue. It's a Cowlitz County issue. It's a Cowlitz. I don't, in terms of Woodland, Kalama, Kelso, they all use Hope Village. It's not a Longview Hope Village. It's Cowlitz County Hope Village.
So the idea being, if every town is using it to some capacity, it maybe should be more of a county discussion in the first place.
It is a county, yes. It is, because they get the funding for it.
Gotcha.
Longview, just to let you know, if the county took the funds that were made for it, then it would be zero for Longview. They're actually, they got on the hook. Luckily, they were able to find other ways of financing it, but they had the money, like the document recording fee, to pay for that facility.
And I don't want to come off as callous to, a homeless population at all. I just, I think there needs to be a discussion around, I think you should approach any discussion about homeless populations with the underpinning that a percentage of them are just there to use the system, whatever that might be, this isn't about hope one way or the other. I just bug in your brain for when people talk, hey, we don't know. We do know it's not zero of people are being like, well, if I do heroin in the street, you won't bother me here. I'm going to be here. And not that Hope Village is attracting that, but you definitely see it in Portland, which is a
whole different thing.
It's a whole different approach.
Yeah.
And they went and completely decriminalized drug holding. They have an entirely different handle on what they want, but you can see how it attracts people. You legalize fishing, you attract fishermen, and that's not necessarily bad if you want fishermen, but it can be bad if you don't want drug users.
Right.
Okay, so Hope Village was the one. The other thing that I've seen talked a little bit about is roads, but it seems to be, at least from Steve's perspective, that he doesn't understand where that's coming up, because roads seem to be fine. Is there a different perspective, or are roads more or less fine?
Roads are fine. However, we're going to, just like everything else when it comes to fiscal years coming up here, financially, we're going to have a hard time with the budget that we have to, especially, I'm telling you right now, if you were to see the cost escalation of this timber market, a good example,
right.
The pedestrian the overpass, how exponential things go up, and to try to keep up with it, it's going to be really difficult having a very, a finite budget already. So it will be a situation where in the future, it will be a problem. There's no doubt about it.
The timber market's an interesting conversation as far as where jurisdictions break down, right? Because the timber market is sort of a county asset. It's sort of a port project. It's sort of a city tourist destination. But are the costs of it shared as far as the government costs, for example, or the government revenues? Are they shared between those jurisdictions? Is it primarily in one spot or the other? Do you know anything about how the finances of it break out?
Well, the port, it's pretty much the city doesn't have really, the port is its own jurisdiction.
Okay.
They're kind of like the fire district, the cemetery. Each one has their own entity, I guess is the way to put it.
Gotcha.
Like that.
Okay.
So the only, the city, and people don't realize how, they think that the city and the ports are separate. They're actually a lot more together than most people think. And I think of a good example of that. Can you imagine if this port was in Portland?
Right.
How that would go in terms of, would you want to go visit, in terms of, and I'm not saying anything bad about Portland. I'm just saying
they don't have a lot of tourist ports.
Yes.
That's fair.
Yes. And you don't see graffiti.
Right.
You feel safe walking here. By the way, we're the ones that have, the port does have security, but it's our officers that help assist with their facilities. They are the ones that help in terms of if somebody was, that someone wasn't supposed to be here, to get them to where they need to be. And so you have to have, and then you have to have a planning commission. If you have not the best planning commission that is adversarial toward the port, they'll say, no, we're going to we'll put you off your project's important, but I don't see it happening this year. We'll put you off next year. So you have to have a plan. You have to have everything on course, on point. Fire districts need to go, everyone needs to be on board to have these kind of things at a quick pace, because things happen a lot more quickly when everyone works together.
Yeah, that was one thing that Steve had brought up, is that historically, and you've been around Kalama quite a bit, so you might have a little bit of insight into this. Historically, there was regular communication between the city mayors and the county commissioners, and then there was a discussion that had broken down. We were trying to sort of revive that. Is there any merit to that kind of statement? Or, COVID did change how a lot of us communicated, but also we're kind of getting back to it nowadays. So, is there a take on that?
We did. Actually, we had a very good, all the cities, all the mayors used to get together all the time, once a month, sometimes twice, every couple months, work on things. We could not, let's say, if it was something to do with Woodland, especially, and that's one of my biggest things that I try to advertise for, is Exit 21. And you hear about, for instance, what's going on with, Mr. Hellenberg with the river, with the silt buildup. And you hear about, Longview with Hope Village and Kelso with the interchange. You hear about all of these things and the problems that are happening, and we're able to work together as a team. And actually, we have done that. We actually have put things to the county commission as a letter to the, we brought it to our city councils. We all signed on it, and then we gave it to the county commissioners to work together. So we have definitely done that.
So is that something that's happening more recently, or is it something that used to happen and we want to sort of rekindle that?
It started. We haven't done it lately with the new elected officials. We haven't done it in a while because everyone's going to go through it right now. Mr. Deinhardt, he's getting on board and getting this council going on, he's got a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And so, he's got his stuff.
Woodland is going through
Bordeaux, Mayor Bordeaux, he's got a lot of stuff going on right now. So we haven't done it. We have actually talked about it about 2 months ago, something like that, reviving that. Because we haven't done it this year, but every year before this year, we did it, like I said, almost monthly.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, we really did. We worked together for these things.
Well, that's pretty sweet. All right, so just kind of recap here. We're looking to be commissioner. Budget shortfalls are a big pain in the keister. Infrastructure will need to happen, although maybe not need to happen right now.
Right.
If we have to raise funds, a lot of that's going to come from improvement costs at ports and businesses.
Housing,
or on port structures. Development costs.
Right, development.
Which could impact the cost for small businesses that might want to lease out that space to do whatever pop-up shop or charcuterie stand they're trying to get done. If you want to start a tap house here at the port, your rent is going to be reflected in what those improvement taxes are to the building owner.
As one of the costs.
As one of the
Just
costs.
let you know, there's a cost for rent, there's cost for insurance. It's like everything else. There's a cost of running a business.
Right. And, it's like, it's all about, I think about it how supply chain works, right? If the price of steel doubles, it affects your car price somewhere down the line because your car's made of steel.
Or gas or anything else like that.
Right. It's like if we do have to raise improvement costs, that does affect how much you pay for a beer, maybe at the tap house. Maybe not by a lot, a nickel, but it can affect it. But there does need to be a tackling of the budget difference, because right now we're solving that with landfill issue.
One of the ways of
which is
getting... That's a bad thing in itself.
Right. It's a Band-Aid solution on its best day.
Right.
It's cool for now,
yes,
but we need to do something a little bit more for that.
Exactly.
And then we solve that problem, or at least address it by getting a really good team of people with some experience around us that can understand how to kind of lean that environment up a little bit.
Right. Well, you bring good people in that help facilitate. Just to let you know, the county is a facilitator. They help facilitate the kind of industries and developments that you want. So if you're a good facilitator, like I say, the city of Kalama and the port, our job is to facilitate the port to get what they need to get done.
Right.
And we do that. We put, you need infrastructure, you got it. You got piping in, you got it. If you got planning, you got it. If you want, the fire department, we all meet together to get these things done. that's the county's job, is to help bring the right businesses, the right development that works for the state.
And we're going to do that by mostly by really starting to work with everybody together to make sure if there are shared pooled resources, we're using them appropriately.
Exactly.
So that we don't end up putting an undue burden somewhere where maybe it shouldn't be, especially because, and I know this because I talked to Jim Kelly, specifically in Woodland, if Woodland's going, you just go to Hope Village, guy. We don't just go there or go to Longview and then find Hope Village, and they're doing that, we're using that resource in Woodland, even if we're not paying for that resource in Woodland.
It's a county.
Right. It is definitely a county issue, which it's a whole other conversation about it, because I don't like this is personal, and I'm getting off topic again. I just don't like the idea that like the homeless community is looked at as like a victim. Just because I once got a tour of Seattle from someone that used to be homeless, and they didn't go, and here's where I was really sad and alone, and they were like, I would sleep under this tree, and we'd go to there's this thing, I think it was day labor, or some kind of daily labor pump.
Right.
Yeah. They'd go do that, and then they would just be like, so we'd go and we'd hook up with like landscaping or whatever for the day, who cares, and then we'd cash out, and we'd all buy booze, and the fastest one of us, we had a friend who was like really fast, he would run from the bus stop to cash the checks at the like wherever they were cashing them before they closed. And then we'd all go get drunk and pass out under this tree by this lake. It was nice. And then they were like, here's a quiet spot on Puget Sound. I was just like, okay, I don't know how I can feel bad if you're describing this as like not a negative experience to me. And I feel like, especially people that do care, we differentiate. We don't really use the word lifestyle choice. And because for some people it's not, and for some people it is, and whatever our approach is, if Hope Village has a lot of rules, you got to weed out the people that are making it as a choice.
And they do.
And that's good. And the people that want to choose it can go to places where people who choose it are fine. And my understanding is that is Portland and Seattle currently. I do not live in either of those cities. I'm in Portland a lot. I don't take my kids there anymore because once I saw a guy just doing heroin. This is getting way out of bounds of Cowlitz County Commissioner talks.
Right.
Let's bring this back into base, though. But we need sensible leadership with civic experience.
And a background so you can see if that kind of person is what's going to be fitting with the county.
So that's sort of the long and short of the pitch of Mike Reuter. Apologies.
That's all right.
I'm doing my best here.
Trust me, Reuter. It's
a valuable brand. We all know Reuter.
Yes. I was going to use that for a commercial because everyone remembers that. But I said, no, I know that some kind of copyright thing, and I'll know that it won't be said the right way.
You can say it because it's just sounds.
Right. and but just to let you know about the Hope Village thing.
Yeah.
Is they get their homes get spot checked all the time.
Well,
and like I said, they get frisked. Yeah. And there's rules.
So Vancouver set up a lot of that.
Right.
And this is important too. Because when you start enforcing like hey, we want to take care of you, but only if you're clean.
Yeah.
Then the only people you get are people that are like, oh, right on, let me get my life together.
Right.
Because there are
first.
There are people that like, I broke my leg and now I can't come to work for 6 weeks or whatever. And that means that I had to take workman's comp and my work let me go and I couldn't make rent and now I'm in my truck. Like that does happen to people.
Right.
And for guys like that, a Hope Village is a great way to start the process of getting back up, and they want to get back up.
Yeah.
Provided they can still walk in the leg break analogy. But in a perfect world, we got there. So that's sort of like, I'm not here decrying the program as being objectively like secretly villainous. Just that if you are strict, which it appears to be, from what we both know, trust that. It's going to filter out the bad assets.
Which it has.
And they'll migrate to the places where they can be. Which apparently, if you're online, is another state. Which is fine. That's fine. I don't care. All right. Well, you know what? We've been running for nearly an hour. We've toured the timber market. Come to the timber market.
Yes.
It's gorgeous. I'm going to put in some shots here. We took a look at the high school store. The Chinook Crossing?
Yeah.
Chinook Crossing. Their high schoolers have a store of like merch. So you support kids and the local community, and they got gelato. What else do they have?
Oh,
What's your favorite thing that's here?
Oh my goodness!
I know I'm putting you on the spot.
There is. Depends on what. If I'm in the mood for coffee, they have a painting store.
Big fan of the art.
Unbelievable, and it's a situation where these paintings are almost like lifelike. It's just the weirdest. I mean, it's unbelievable. The Dot Shop. I mean, it's a great place. They have a chocolate place in terms of, you know, you get a box of.
Yes.
You get to pick your chocolates. You don't have to have, you know, like Life of the box of chocolates,
right?
You don't know what you're going to get. Well, in this place, you do know. You can actually get to pick the ones, and so they have a wine tasting. They have a bakery. They have, you know, there's so many things of the gelato there. Also, there's flowers, you know, plants. They have a banquet. You know, the timber market has banquet rooms. Possible very soon. Restaurant.
We already got a brewery. We're getting there.
Yes. Yeah. So yes, it's a great place.
Apparently sponsored by the timber market. We'll put a little. I have a picture. Well, it's been absolutely a pleasure talking to you, Mike. I hope that we can get our message out there. And if there's anything you think we missed, now is the time. And if not, it's been wonderful. And we'll get this up in a couple days.
Well, thank you. And I do want to say a couple things. I've been involved with Woodland for a long time. That's how I met Elijah here. I met him at the city council meetings, which I've attended a lot of them over the years. I haven't been to the last 6 months because of the construction.
I just like Todd. I think he's doing fine.
Yes.
I check the agendas, and when I read through them, I'm like, there's nothing on here that's viciously objectionable that I have a problem with.
Right.
And then occasionally I like run into one of the city council meetings, men, and they're like, you haven't been? You missed all this stuff. And I was like, I didn't even know it was on the thing. It seems fine.
Yeah, and you know, I've been in the Kiwanis. We did the roundabouts. We did I've also done the diaper drives in Woodland, the march, what do they call it, kettle drives. So I've been involved with Woodland a lot. This is not, and like I said, I've been to a lot of city council meetings over the years. And like I said, that's how I met Elijah. He's a great, he is definitely involved in the community. So here doing a great job. And this is the kind of stuff that helps.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff that helps get the word out there for people that don't know what's going on out there and to be more involved in the community.
It is so hard to have a